Salam, in the values of Karbala, the lessons of Karbala, the impact of Karbala. So let me say that this day of Ashura, because that is the main symbol of this Muharram and Safar, is one of those Ayyamullah, the days of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which Allah refers to it in Surah Ibrahim when He says, وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ. Hazrat Musa, when he had to take his family out of those darknesses, and he has to bring them to Nur, and he has to bring them to light, and he has to liberate them. In order to do that, Allah is saying, then remind them those important days of important happenings, those historical days which made the history, and those days in which historical incidents had taken place. Remind them those days, yani remind them those events, remind them those stories, remind them those sacrifices, remind them those sufferings. And when you will remind them all those days and sufferings and sacrifices and experiences, it will help them to realize now what they are going through, why they are going through, and how to get out of these sufferings. And they will get ready, O Musa, and then they will stand with you and they will join you. So you need to inspire them, you need to motivate them, you need to make them stand up, you need to relate their current issues with those Ayyamullah. So we see history is very important, and remembering the history, reminding the history, and pondering on the history is something which is very instrumental for any change. You cannot bring change in a society without reminding them about their history and the historical events and historical happenings. If it was the case that the history was not needed and you could do that without reminding them history, then why would Quran mention that much history and that much historical figures and historical happenings and historical movements of the prophets and their ummahs and all that what has happened in the past? Then why Quran talks about all those Anbiya and messengers and those communities which were the issues of past? Sometime, very naively, people would say, oh, why do we talk so much about history? We have so many issues right now in front of us, our current issue. We are caught up with so many issues in our families, in our communities, and we have so much to deal with. And here this Maulana sits on the minbar and he talks only history, 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 history. I tell them, read Quran. And read Quran and you will see Quran is full of history. It's full of history. Analyze the themes of Quran and then go and put the numbers of ayat. You see the surahs named and why there is Suratul Kahf. What this Kahf has to do with us today? The cave and the people of cave, Ashabul Kahf. There is a story, but there is a lesson in this story of Ashabul Kahf. How these young people who were being persecuted and they were suffering and they were a very tiny minority And they were standing in front of this big tyrant and misguided majority. And this is how Ashabul Kahf, they dealt with their current situation, whatever situation they were going through. And then this is again a story. There is a story of Ashabul Ukhdud. There is a story of, there are surahs under the names of Anbiya and Anbiya of past. And the story after story, story after story. Because this is one way to cause awakening. It wakes up people. It tells people what has happened with previous people, what is happening to us. Then they can relate. Then they can find the lessons, they can find the solutions. And these historical achievements always inspire them, or the greatness of their ancestors and their bravery, their sacrifices, and their resistance, their resilience always motivates them and inspires them. So, history is a very important subject. They say that as you have a lab in scientific studies, for scientific issues, scientific matters, if you want to see something, whether it works or it doesn't, or what is its reality, you have to go into the lab. But if you are talking about humanity, the human society, the social issues, the communal issues, then the lab of humanity is history. That lab which tells you what works and what doesn't work. What is the reality of different phenomena? When it comes to the human history, then its lab is the history. Humanities, its lab is history. That's why there is a great emphasis on remembering Karbala. My brothers and sisters, whatever from Adam till Hazrat Isa was preached and was accomplished, then it was renewed, it was reinforced, it was completed and perfected in those 23 years of the work of Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wa sallam. But before Prophet would start, everything was tempered, almost eliminated, finished. There was no ruh in it, there was no soul in it, there was no spirit in it. Everything was tempered, changed. And Prophet has to start almost from the very beginning, from Qulu La ilaha illallah tuflihu. Prophet is not starting from any of those current issues, the sufferings of people and the other problems which people have. Those were all symptoms which people are going through. But the real cause was that people had no faith in that one ultimate authority, no sense of accountability. They were not sticking to his obedience and to his given manual of life. So Prophet has to start again from the zero. You say ground zero, it was just ground zero. Qulu la ilaha illallah tuflihu. He starts from all over and he finishes and completes at Ghadir in 23 years. But whatever he had brought, whatever he had preached, whatever he had built, my brothers and sisters, in 50 years, it was almost again demolished. Some people don't read history very carefully. When a man like Yazid can sit in the place of Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam and has the liberty to say that there was no revelation, there was no wahi, there was no this revealed religion. This was a kind of play which Banu Hashim played to just get the government in hand. So, who is saying so-called Khalifatul Muslimin? Someone that who is speaking on behalf of Islam, speaking on the behalf of entire Ummah. According to the term of that time, he was Amirul Mu'mineen. Today, now, after all this what we have gone through, later on they came, they say, oh, there is Khilafat is only 30 years and Khilafat Rashida and who is Amirul Mu'mineen and who is not. These are all later things. At that time, his father was Amirul Mu'mineen and he himself was also Amirul Mu'mineen. And people had done bayat to him. And if what he was saying and what he was doing, Islam was finished. That's what, there is a line from Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. He says, إِذَا بُلِيَتِ الْأُمَّةُ بِرَاعٍ مِثْلَ يَزِيدٍ فَعَلَى الْإِسْلَامِ السَّلَامِ. Imam says, if the Ummah is now faced with this calamity and this situation that a man like Yazid is its Amirul Mu'mineen, then it's goodbye to Islam. Alal Islam, salam. Then say salam and goodbye to Islam. Islam is finished. So, if Islam has survived, and today more than 1 billion people are Muslims, and in last these 1400 years people remained Muslims, and there is La ilaha illallah, and there is Muhammadun Rasulullah, and there is Quran as revealed book, and there is halal and haram, this is all because of Karbala. Because of Karbala. I have spoken about it in past. Very quickly I will conclude it. My brothers and sisters, before this incident of Karbala, the Khalifa of Muslimin had rights of black and white. Today they say Khilafat Rashida ended before. But at that time, in the time of Muawiyah, nobody had heart and nobody had courage to come and stand in front of Muawiyah and say Abu Bakr and Umar and Usman and Ali were Khulafai Rashideen and you are not Khalifa Rashid. And you are a Khalifa of different category. We will listen to what Abu Bakr said, what Umar said, what Usman said, what Ali said, and we are not going to listen or follow what you are saying, O Muawiyah, son of Abu Sufyan. Show me one line in the history. And whatever he did, he had the authority to make the decisions of halal and haram. He had the authority to make certain changes in Islamic law, and he did it. Ulama have written it and mentioned in the books. He changed the laws, and nobody told him you have no authority. You are only a king. He was not king. He was Khalifatul Muslimin and Amirul Mu'mineen. And now the same authority is coming to Yazid bin Muawiyah. A man like Yazid bin Muawiyah. Whatever he was going to do, whatever he was going to say, that would be the part of Islam. Part of Islam. But one benefit, one result of Karbala, one thing, if you want to see what is the achievement of Imam Hussain, the achievement of Imam Hussain is that Imam Hussain draw the line. And he says, no Amirul Mu'mineen of these people anymore. No Khalifatul Muslimin anymore with that authority of making the halal and haram or having the authority to interpret Quran or Hadith. This authority, this title is now taken back from these kings and sultans and khalifas and rulers, and Imam Hussein brought it back from them, which was later taken by the ulama of the ummah. And later this tradition started that these people will only rule and take care of the administration of the country, but when it will come to Quran, to Hadith, to Sharia, to halal or haram, then this is the issue which Abu Hanifa will deal, or Ahmad bin Hanbal will deal, or Shafi'i will deal, or with this other scholar will deal, or fuqaha or ulama. This opportunity, this division that these so-called Amirul Mu'mineen and so-called Khulafa of Muslimin, they have no authority to speak on behalf of Islam and to decide for Muslims what is halal or what is haram. This is not their call, this is call of ulama. No, this is the call of ulama, this is the call of fuqaha, this is the call of those people that who are God conscious people. This started after Karbala. This is one of the benefits, one of the results of Karbala. So that's why I say to all Muslims that your imams, whether it is Abu Hanifa, whether it is Imam Malik, whether it is Imam Shafi'i, whether it is Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, or these other ulama and fuqaha until today's muftis, they need to be grateful to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, that at least he took this department of halal and haram away from those corrupt kings and those corrupt khulafa and those corrupt governments, and gave it back to the community and its ulama to deal with it. Otherwise this deen was totally finished and it was all corrupted. This thing we see after, this is one of the after effects of Karbala. And after Karbala, people found out the reality of Yazid. They found out the reality of Yazid. They found out the reality of these people who came after him. And they never liked them as a majority of people, as a general society. They never liked them, they never, meaning taken them as the representatives of Islam. They obeyed them just because they felt that they cannot deceive them. They cannot mess with them. They cannot overthrow them. So they had to tolerate them. That was their school of thought, that was their way of thinking. But no one was really no one was fan of them. At least the majority of Ummah was not for them. This is one of the benefits of this blood of Shuhada. Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam created that awakeness, that awareness, that people realized that who is Adil and who is Zalim, and who is worthy of leading the Ummah and who is not worthy of leading the Ummah. That is something which comes again, my brothers and sisters, for Karbala. But we need to, as I said, this Karbala is not only a story, it's not only a narration that only for our majalis or only for our mahafil. This is a story which teaches us how to live our life, how to live our life, how to lead our life, how to live in different circumstances in different societies. And Karbala is, by the way, yes, it is a tragic story, and that's why we cry and we do matam. but this is a success story. It is a success story. It is a very powerful story. It is a story in which we take pride. Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wassalam were not embarrassed because of Karbala. They would always take pride in the story of Karbala. Karbala is our pride. We raise our head and we stand tall when we say we are the people who belong to Imam Hussain. We belong to Karbala. We belong to Sayyida Zainab Salamullah alayha. We hold the flag of Abul Fazl al-Abbas, and we are the one that who are fans of Ali Akbar and Qasim and On and Muhammad and Habib and Burair and Zuhair and all those people. Every one of them was a shining star. Every one of them was a star for humanity. And those were role models. Those were sources of inspiration. We can't find better inspirational figures than these martyrs of Karbala. So my brothers and sisters, we have a powerful story. We have a powerful narrative. We have a powerful institution full of hararat, full of energy, this is a vibrant school of thought. It's not a school of thought which teaches us to be isolated or to remain silent or to remain inactive or remain disappointed and hopeless. Karbala gives energy for a new life. It gives you the energy to stand up. It gives you the energy to wake up. It gives you the inspiration to look eye to eye to any zalim and any ghasib and any mujrim and criminal, whether this zalim and this mujrim and this criminal was of the criminal of the past or it is the criminal of our own time. Karbala has lessons. Karbala has messages. Karbala has again causes. What caused this tragedy of Karbala? This is the whole subject. Why within 50 years? Within 50 years, still those people are around who have seen Imam Hussain on the shoulders of their grandfather, who have seen Imam Hussain sitting on the back of their grandfather. In his last khutbah on the day of Ashura, while he was riding the she-camel, he challenged them and he named those companions of Prophet who are still alive. And he said, why don't you go and check with these companions of Prophet, men like Zayd bin Arqam and Sal Saidi and those other people, and you go and ask them, who am I? What is my relation with your Prophet? Why are you all here to kill me and put your hand in my blood? So within 50 years, that a drastic change, we will study inshallah in coming khutbahs, that it was not just a drastic change. It was not something which had happened just overnight. It is not something which was an isolated event. My brothers and sisters, it started with the Saqifa, with the meeting of Saqifa, and then it took 50 years from bringing the fire on the door of Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha, then coming to martyr Imam Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, then martyring Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, and then step by step, finally they brought this ummah to a point where Hussain has become a stranger to this ummah. The first family of Islam became stranger. And people who came on 11th hour, yesterday, just as we said, Jumma 8 din, who just entered in Islam, they are the movers and shakers of Islam. They are the one that who have the full control and full power of Islam in their hand, and the first family of Islam. The people about whom Prophet says, Aliyun minni wa ana minhu, Fatimatu bad'atu minni, Husainun minni wa ana min Husain. The people that who were raised in the lap of Prophet, on the shoulders of Prophet, on the back of Prophet, the blood and the flesh of the Prophet, those people became stranger. And Ummah is ready to slaughter them and to kill them. And to kill them and slaughter them in the name of Islam, in the greater interest of Islam, in the greater interest of the community. And it's not only that they killed them, they captured those daughters of Prophet as war prisoners, tied their hands, snatched their chadars and their hijabs, and then they dragged them and paraded them. These daughters of Ali o Batul, in courts, in bazaars, in streets, in intersections, in Kufa, in Sham. Meaning, is this Islam? Is this the story of Muslims within 50 years? So my brothers and sisters, this story deserves to be studied, to be understood, to be analyzed, to know all the details. Why first this was done at first place? Why Karbala took place? Why it happened? What were the causes? Then the whole details about this institution, in this story, in this incident. Then of course, what were the impact? What were the achievements? Achievements, impact, lessons of Karbala. And then from lessons of Karbala to our responsibilities. All of us, we say we are people of Imam Hussain, but do we resemble with our leader in any area of life? Is there any relevance between us and with our Imam and with our hero and with our champion? Do we hold his values? Do we walk on his way? Do we have the same kind of mindset which he had or his followers had in Karbala? Are we today serving Imam Hussain and his cause? Or we are just satisfying our own desires and our own habits and our own feelings and whatever we feel that we should be, meaning we should feel we are just trying to only please ourselves and please our own emotions. Are we pleasing Sayyida? Are we pleasing Prophet? Are we pleasing Imam Hussain? These are some of the topics, these are some of the discussions, my brothers and sisters. These are very important one. In the series of these khutbahs of Jum'ah, I will inshallah share with you during the entire month of Muharram and Safar. Our topic is Karbala. Karbala, and it is the analysis, the detail and deep analysis of this story of Karbala and this incident of Karbala and this institution of Karbala. Recite a salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, again in second khutbah I advise myself for taqwa, parhezgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. In this second khutbah, since we don't have much time left, I will make only one point, which is a duty and responsibility on my behalf. And of course, it is a duty and responsibility of all of us who believe that we belong to Karbala. My brothers and sisters, we don't have to only talk about Karbala, we have to live the Karbala. We have to walk the Karbala also. And when we want to live the Karbala and when we want to walk the Karbala, then we cannot overlook from the Karbala of our time. And that is the Karbala of Gaza, Palestine. When we say Labbaik Ya Hussein, then my brothers and sisters, and when we answer on his istighasa, then we need to keep in mind this is a Karbala of our time. Our Allah is witnessing, Imam of our age is witnessing that how much we care about what is happening over there, how much we follow the news, how much we follow the media, how much we speak about it, how much we invest our time to create the awareness about it, how much we do anything else what we can do to help and support this cause of Shuhada. I have mentioned earlier that Istimar will always try to create this issue of Shia and Sunni, and some traditional speakers will say, oh, you are talking about people who are not Shias and who are not Isna Asharis and who are this and who are that. My brothers and sisters, when people who came to do the bay'at on the hand of Imam Ali, believe me, there were only handful people who were Shia, Isna Ashari by our definition. Most of these people who came to do the bay'at on the hand of Imam Ali, and they were begging the help from Imam Ali to take this position, they were all those Sunnis. And after doing bay'at on hand of Ali also, they didn't say that now from today, since we have done the bay'at to Imam Ali, so we declare we have nothing to do with Abu Bakr, we have nothing to do with Umar, we have nothing to do with those guys. They were still their followers, and Shaykhain were still their leaders. Even only some of them, they had issues with Usman. But they were still admiring Shaykhain, and they were declared Sunnis. Your Imam Ali didn't say, go hell with you. You are all people of other faith. I am only for here. I am only going to help the Shias, Isna Asharis, the followers of my faith, followers of my imamat. And since you are not, so I have nothing to do with you. Later on also, these people of Kufa who had written the letters to Imam Hussein, majority of them were again the people of the same faith. Majority of them, our scholars have done research and written that there were a minority which were the Shias of Ahlul Bayt who had written the letters. Majority of the Kufa at that time who wrote the letters to Imam Hussein or who did the bay'at on hands of Muslim bin Aqil, they were not Shia Isna Ashari. That's why every time Imam Ali had so many issues and problems in his camp. And that's why the Muslim bin Aqil had these issues, and that's why Imam Hussain had the issues. If these all people were Shia, Isna Ashari, and if they would believe in Imam Ali or Imam Hussain as Imam min Allah, Mansoos min Allah, Imam Ma'soom, Imam Ali didn't have those issues and problems in his camp, and Imam Hussain never had those problems, and Muslim bin Aqil would never have those problems in Kufa. So, the stance of Ahlul Bayt is not Shia Sunni. It's all just Islam. And even above than Islam, it is humanity. Kuna lil-zalimi khasman wa lil-mazlumi auna. Imam Ali, his golden line, when he says Kuna lil-zalim, he doesn't say this zalim is Muslim or non-Muslim. When he says wa lil-mazlumi auna, he says in general terms, anybody who is being oppressed, you need to stand with him and support him. Imam Ali doesn't say, وَكُونَا لِلْمَظْلُومِ الْمُؤْمِنِ شِيَعَ الْإِسْنَى الْأَشْعَرِ. Then you have to stand with him. Then of course you have to stand. But your duty, but Imam says, كُونَا لِلْمَظْلُومِ. Mazloom can be white, can be black, can be Shia, can be Sunni, can be Muslim, can be non-Muslim, can be American, can be African, can be Asian, can be any. So, we cannot listen to those traditional speakers and their speeches and then just feel that, oh, that's not our duty or that's not our responsibility. Our duty and responsibility. And even in these days of Muharram and Majalis of Muharram and Julus of Muharram, when we talk about that Karbala, which is the Karbala of all Karbalas, of course, but then we have to relate to the Karbala of our day and our age. And Alhamdulillah, what you have seen, one victory, you know, this Mazlumiyat has its own victories. This Khun-e Shuhada, this Ah-e Mazlumin, the people that who have been slaughtered and killed and their houses are demolished, and those yatim and miskin and those little children and those widows, you saw what happened just few days ago. The President of United States of America has no face to now be a candidate and run for his presidential campaign. This is curse of Mazlumin. This is curse of those Mazlumin and those oppressed one. Otherwise, age, everybody knew. People didn't read his ID just a few days ago that he is 81 years old. He was 81 years old. People knew even from very before. People knew his health. People knew everything. But Allah wanted to disgrace him. Allah wanted to disgrace him, and this disgrace will be historical disgrace. This man that who had turned back to those Mazlumin, this man that who could help to bring justice, who could mediate, who could use his power to bring peace in that region, he even put fuel on the fire. And finally, this tragedy, as we see, it took place now it's 8 months. And how many people? But you see that the blood, the mazlumiyat, the the dua, that impact is there. So the party is struggling and they are not finding a candidate. And at least the man that who was the most blameworthy in this whole thing is disgraced and is almost, he is done. He cannot run, and the chances are that he won't be able to even stay there even for next 6 months. You will see how disgracefully he will leave even the White House. And this is how the awe of Mazlumin follows you, and finally you have to face the justice. So this is achievement. I think all of you, all of those brothers and sisters who went out, who participated in those protests, who played any role in this movement, anywhere in the world, and more than anybody else, those widows, those yatims, those children, those maqtooleen, those shuhada, they have the credit. This is not something little. This is not something small. My brothers and sisters, this is a big happening which we have seen with our own eyes, and we will see inshallah much more in coming days. Recite salawat.
اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصل الليالي والأيام. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.